Are we all set?
Everything in mind regarding like,
I'm all set?
so the zoning.
Good evening and welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for Thursday, January 9th. First one of the 2020 year. Happy New Year to everyone. I hope everyone's off to a good start. We've been very lucky without snow, so it's nice. No storms, and it's gonna be 60. They'll be open, the Kelly Greens will be playing golf down there this week. Yeah. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Opening comments, Josh?
I just wanted to remind everybody that we have a special election coming up January 29th. That's to fill the vacant seat on the Board of Selectmen. The polls open at 7 and close at 8. It's a ballot vote. It's the only item on the thing, so you come in, you cast your vote, and you leave. If you're not able to be there on January 29th, I believe absentee ballots are available. Is that right, Tony?
They're coming in, I checked with the clerk today, she said she was gonna get them by the end of the day today, so.
Okay, so they should be in today, so if you, like me, are not going to be here on January 29th, please see the town clerk for absentee ballots. That's all I have.
Excellent. Very good. Okay, opening comments from the chairman here. Let me see. The winter parking ban is still in effect. All vehicles must be parked off the street during the hours of 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. from December 21st, initially started already, to March 20th, 2020. And now, people in Bass Point and Little Nahant who have very little parking, if you can't get off the street, you've got to go to the police station. They'll issue a special sticker to leave it on the street. But if it snows or there's a snowstorm coming in, you've got to remove your car and put it in certain parking lots like the Tides, Johnson School, overnight. So, thank you. The Christmas tree curbside pickup Monday through Friday this coming up from now until January 10th. So we've got one more day, Friday, you get Christmas trees. If you put them out and put them to the curbside, the Public Works will pick them up.
Mr. Chairman, if they don't get out, just call town hall, we'll make sure to pick them up next week.
Yeah, if for some reason, if you've gone away and you're somewhere and you're in the Caribbean and you can't get back and you've got your Christmas tree still up, just call the town hall and they'll come by and pick it up and have the Public Works. Thank you. Our holiday hours for the town hall, for the upcoming Martin Luther King Day, will be the town hall will be closed Monday, January 20th, in observance of Dr. Martin Luther King Day. So, remind everyone that was a holiday. Winter red and blue light graphics are now on both town and police website homepages. Number one is the red light winter parking ban in effect. Blue light snow emergency is declared. We had some problems with the B&Bs. One problem, and we're looking into it. We're gonna have discussion on it as the town manager and town council review the zoning laws for the B and Bs. We've got a couple complaints about one B and B and over in Little Nahant, so we're gonna be looking at it, into it, investigating, and the building inspector will probably go over there and look at this whole situation, because the laws that we passed way back when, I think it was back in 1995, was it 95?
93.
93. It's very, 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 very clear how we authorize that. There are only supposed to be two people in a unit, and I guess we've got, you know, the problem is, especially in the tight areas, it's the parking, and there's no parking. I know when we approved the B and A, we authorized parking, you know, for one vehicle, for one person, so that's why it's a two people max situation. I guess some of the B and Bs got 5 or 6, and they got the cars and et cetera, so we're gonna investigate that, and the town manager and the building inspector will take care of that.
Preliminary review of the town's zoning and actually regulations that the Board of Selectmen adopted back in 1993. Obviously, Airbnb and HomeAway and VRBO, those types of sites weren't very popular back then. So our local zoning and regs are out of date. So we're going to be taking a closer look at them. We're going to take a look at some of our neighboring communities and how they handle those things. And it would, if we want to propose changes to the zoning, it would have to be a warrant article for the town meeting. So we got some work to do to take a look at it. I think it's the appropriate time to potentially propose some updated regulations or on that. And we also, similar to last year at town meeting, we adopted the local meals tax. The state allows you to have a local hotels tax, which again, there's no administrative burden on the homeowner renting the home, and no administrative burden on the town, and it would be on the positive side, it would be a revenue stream that isn't paid for by the residents of the town of Nahant. So, a couple things worth looking into anyways, and we'll get on that and hopefully have something to propose for town meeting.
Do we receive any money from these B and Bs?
We don't right now. If we adopt the local hotels tax, we could. And and again, like I mentioned with the local meals tax last year, right now, mostly all of our revenue comes from Nahant residents, whether it's taxes or fees, you know, anything like that. The local meals tax, and if we were to consider the local hotels tax, would be revenue streams that are not paid for by, well, mostly on local meals, but hotels certainly, I can't imagine many Nahant residents are renting other places in Nahant to stay. So I would imagine most of that income from that tax would come from people who are coming into Nahant and renting homes to stay for extended period of time.
Additionally, there's no burden on the town employees to collect this tax. It's collected by the state and turned back over.
Exactly. So if you rented a home in Nahant through Airbnb, Airbnb would assess you that local tax. So when you pay through Airbnb, Airbnb would then send that tax to the state, and then the state would send the town on a quarterly basis, most likely, whatever revenue. I've looked into it a little bit. I think there's somewhere about, not all at the same time, but somewhere around 200 homes that get posted on Airbnb throughout the year.
Really?
Around town.
We should also, might as well look at some of these apartments, the illegal apartments. they're renting out, and, I mean, it's just, it's not fair for a single-family home paying full taxes and someone renting out their basement as an apartment and receiving the funds for, monthly cash flow to their home, but not paying anything to the town. I mean, we should look at that. Would you look at that, Tony? Look into that? I don't know how many, there's probably a few. I just, it's not fair to the regular taxpayer to have, paying the taxes straight up and no questions. And then next thing you know, you get these other individuals renting out their basement as an apartment. It's just new cash money, I mean, it's, they don't, who knows? But anyways, okay.
A couple other things I wanted to mention. Our warrant articles, well, the warrant closes January 31st, right? So we have to get all our articles in, and then if there are any citizen articles, those need to be received by the 31st of January.
Right.
One other item is at the last annual town meeting, the Wetlands Bylaw Study Committee was formed, and just to let people know, we're having our next meeting on February 3rd, in case anyone would like to attend and see how we're progressing with that. We're expecting to have our findings published in the warrant book coming out in April, or maybe May. And lastly, a number of people, quite a few people sent letters in commenting on Northeastern's draft environmental impact report. I know a few hundred people from Nahant and the town and various citizens groups took some time to make those comments, so thanks to folks that took the time to do that.
Okay, our next meeting is scheduled for the 23rd, Tony?
That doesn't sound right.
Or the 30th?
30th.
It will be the 30th.
Oh, okay. Good. That's good. 30th. That's good, because I don't, I mean, I will probably be here that week. Okay, the 30th, that's fine. I was looking, okay. Okay. And then we can close the warrant that night, But if something comes up, Tony, we always, once we close the article, January 30th, we can always open the article and close it at, open it 1 minute of the meeting and then close it. So we've always done that in the past. If something comes up out of the blue that we need to put in.
Yeah, the 31st is in our town charter
Okay?
for the deadline for submission of those articles. So
Right.
even if we close the warrant on the 30th at that Board of Selectmen meeting, if anything gets submitted the next day, we can just open up the warrant at the
Yeah.
following Board of Selectmen meeting and enter it in.
Okay. New business, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes, meeting minutes from November 21st, 2019.
Okay. Yes, I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the meeting minutes from November 21st, 2019.
I'll second the motion for discussion. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next is,
All right. The next is regarding Arbor Day,
yeah, okay,
and
I gotta read this. Arbor Day, right?
yes, I have instructions here to read this whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay. In 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heat and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our cities increase property values, enhance economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal, therefore I, Richard Lombard, Board of Selectmen, Joshua Antrim, do hereby proclaim April 24th, 2020, Arbor Day in the city of Nahant, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands, and further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Dated this 9th day of January, 2020.
I will second the motion. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, come right up.
Oh, I'm Christy Lee, I'm
Yeah,
not resident.
well, come to the mic, because they want to hear you. I mean, the people that, they want to.
Okay.
You can lower that mic so you can, just give your name and address so that we have it for the record.
Okay, Christy Lee, 11 Valley Road, and I'm just here as a member of the Board of Directors at SWIM, to thank you for supporting that proclamation. It's a very good thing, and we're going to be working hard to make it a good thing for Nahant. And we also wanted to thank you for supporting the town-wide cleanup day, May 3rd, for the beaches. So that's all I wanted to say. Appreciate it.
Well, the Board of Selectmen and actually the town administrator they're going to make sure
Yes.
that Public Works are going to have trucks down there to assist you in the cleanup of those areas.
That's
So,
wonderful.
Yeah, it's always
And last year, there were people that came actually from adjacent communities, even as far away as Beverly, I think.
Really?
Yep. And they just wanted to help out because they appreciated the beaches here. And it was very heartening to see
they
that
can use
participation.
the beach. I hope they don't park over here.
Well, no, but they came and they were very happy to
Yes,
help out.
I think that's very nice, very
So.
nice. And
So anyway, and thank you, Tony, as well. Okay.
Does SWIM have any events planned for Arbor Day for the 24th?
Yes, we're working on it. I'm not at liberty to, I don't know all of the details now, but it's going to be very, very exciting.
Well, if it is, make sure we get a copy so we can promote it,
Okay, thank you.
because our next meeting's on the 30th, and of course, we're live with the TV and everything, and it gets sent out to everybody, so.
Great. And we're working with the Garden Club, of course. They're a major participant too. It's not just swim.
Without all these committees in town, we would fail in so many areas, and they keep the town, the garden club, the beautification committee, all these committees and the people that work for them, the unsung heroes of the town, they don't want to get any credit. They just go about their job, and they plant the flowers in the boats, and, I mean, it makes the town look absolutely beautiful.
Great. Well,
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
All right. So, speaking of the beach cleanup, I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the event request for the Nahant Beaches Cleanup Day hosted by Nahant Swim, Inc. on Sunday, May 3rd, 2020, from 12 p.m. to 2:30 p.m.
I will second the motion. Discussion. Would you make sure that we have Public Works trucks, Tony, assisting them on that cleanup?
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is, I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the event request for the choral concert by the Apollo Club, June 14th, 2020, from 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m.
I will second the motion. Now, this is going to be here in the town hall? Yes.
That's what I was wondering.
The main hall here at Town Hall, okay, good. That's from June 14th. And that, it's a very great concert. They do a great job. Okay, any other further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the used car dealer licenses for Class 2 for calendar year 2020 for George Mastoris, doing business as Seaside Auto, and Francis Barilli, doing business as Nahant Garage, and further that the release of said licenses is subject to the payment of all outstanding fees, fines, and payments to the town of Nahant.
I will second the motion. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the attached lobster trap storage leases as presented, and further that the release of said leases are subject to the payment of all outstanding fees, fines, and payments to the town of Nahant.
Second the motion. Have we a list of everyone here?
Yeah,
I'm looking.
I think you have 4 in the pile that I handed you.
Oh, these are the lease agreements.
It's rolling, so
Oh, it's
we'll get more, and we'll have more as,
coming in, okay.
yeah, so I think we have 4 so far.
Four.
4 lobster, trap leases.
And these are all for the
So far, yeah.
compost area?
Yeah.
And how many do we typically have? More than 4.
More than 4.
Is there some kind of time
There's
frame?
about 20 spots down there.
Yeah,
If I remember, we numbered them and cleared the area out, and each one applied for, when we initially moved the traps to the dump site.
I was gonna say around 15, but I don't,
It
yeah.
could be, I mean, it could be 50. But I mean, that's, they seem to like that, and they like stirring the traps down there. So.
They're doing a great, keeping it clean, keeping
Yeah,
it neat.
yeah, it's good.
So is there a deadline when these have to be,
January is typically, you know, we sent out the new leases to each of the lobstermen in the end of December, ask them to get them to us in the month of January, so as they come in, we get them approved.
who sends those out? Those
Mary.
rates?
Very, yep.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. What do we got next? Is that it?
Sure. Oh, okay.
Oh, number 3, number 3, where's number 3 here? Request for the ice skating rink?
It's just discussion at this point.
Okay.
We've had a lot of support amongst residents in town for the request of the town put up a temporary skating rink on town property for community skating. We've discussed it internally. I've actually met with the lead on the effort. There's definitely a significant amount of folks, about 150, 160 people that have signed on to a petition supporting the idea of getting a community skating rink in town. And there's even a significant amount of private fundraising efforts going on with that too. Discussing it internally with staff and, folks who have actually built ice rinks in their backyards. It's certainly an idea that we support. However, it's the issue for the town is we don't have the resources to put towards it, and in order for our insurance, the liability issue is that we have to have it regularly maintained. Speaking with people who have tried it for the town in the past or have tried it on their own in their homes, it's a lot more, the maintenance of these things are way more intense than you would think, especially with our weather pattern. As you could see today, it's cold tomorrow, and Saturday is going to be 50, 60 degrees. So I have sat down, though, with the lead on it. We're looking at potentially an alternative way of doing something this year, or maybe getting it set up and ready to go for maybe next year. But we want to make sure if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. And maybe it's more of a short term when we have a better idea of what the weather's going to be like, maybe an event surrounding it, and we're going to see where we get with it. But just want to let folks know that we hear you. We hear that there's a lot of support for it. We're interested in it. We're taking a look at it. We have had a lot of internal conversations so far. There are some limitations of the town, but we may be able to get around those if we adjust how we're going to approach it and make sure we do it right, and we're working on it.
I just wanted to say that I'm an enthusiastic proponent of the idea. I think it's a great idea. I'd love to see it happen. I know, Tony, you've talked a little bit about sort of like a winter carnival weekend. I think it'd be great. It'd be, an opportunity for the community to get together. We do that on the 4th of July, but the rest of the year sometimes gets pretty long, and part of our role here is to take care of all these issues and budget issues, but, I'd like to think that part of our role is to, give kids a fond memory that they can look back on, when they get old like we are, and, do what we can to pull the community together and have some fun. So I think it's a great idea. I know the winters aren't as cold as they used to be, and, the ice might last a day. It might not ever freeze, but I'd like to try it.
Well, we've tried it many, many times. We put we have the public works build the berm all the way around. Then we laid in the plastic liner, and then the fire department come down and use one of the hydrants down there, and okay? The problem lies, you gotta have consistently cold weather.
Yeah.
And that's been the biggest thing. It might freeze for 2 days, okay, and then it gets 60 degrees like Saturday and Sunday, and the other thing, maintenance of it, in order to keep the rink, even the fire department has to go down there and spray it on a daily basis just to keep the ice nice and even and straight. And it's, the problem, it doesn't get cold. The only thing I'm thinking is, I like your idea of go skating, is we used to skate on the ponds.
Yeah.
And go from Ward Road to Kelly Greens, right up on those,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it was good. Artificial ice. I'm not sure what that cost would be for artificial ice, but I like the idea of kids going ice, get outside, and get some air and go ice skating, and I would say, not only for public skating, people could skate, and then have the kids with a hockey rink on the other side. But I would use, I don't know what artificial ice, I don't know what the cost would be involved in that. But I think that's the way to go. This way, you take out the temperature swing. One day it's 20 degrees, and tomorrow, this week it's gonna be 60. You know what I'm saying? And of course, the liability too, I'm not sure we're covered under the light because of the ball fields. Anyone plays softball, baseball, all these fields, we're all covered under our insurance umbrella.
I talked to the town's insurance. We reached out to them and asked them, and they said, so long as it's free and open, you don't charge, but it's open to the public, that it's posted, you have a sign posting that it's you're kind of skating at your own risk, but that we also have to maintain it. Like you said, if we can't just put something out there and then walk away from it. And speaking to folks who have done this in the past, like you said, you get day one, day two, it's nice, but then it's constant. You're constantly chasing the weather, and it takes a lot of work.
Well, it's daily maintenance, because, like this cold weather that just came in would have been perfect. But it's gonna spend like a week, so it gets all the layers hardened. And then if it, gets warm, and then it freezes again, you gotta have the the fire department to spray it again, to keep it, like it's smooth, it's like a Zamboni, because, especially the wind down there. Now, we've tried this many times over the last 38 years. And it's, we have never had the luck because of the temperature. I mean, we might get it for 2 or 3 days, like you said, and then it gets like 60 degrees Saturday and Sunday, and, it's gotta be like a stay at 25, really, and then, but, I mean, I don't encourage anybody, because it's a great idea, and I applaud their situation. But I think maybe if we looked into artificial ice, I'm not sure what that cost is involved in that.
I researched that as well, made a couple phone calls. What I got was that the experience of artificial ice for people in the Northeast who are used to skating on regular ice is not the same. And artificial ice down in Florida, people love it.
Yeah.
But up here, it's kind of a letdown.
Well, I mean,
But I think
Plastic, right?
it's basically yeah. So you don't glide as long. I do think that we could. I got a couple more calls to make. Folks who are really spearheading the effort have already reached out to one company that I want to make a follow-up call to. But if we could plan like a weekend, when we know it's going to be cold, we have a good forecast for it, and get it started and potentially have it nice for the weekend and do kind of an event, a community event surrounding it. I think that would be a pretty good way to go, because it's the long-term reliability that isn't there. So we all like the idea. Obviously, we've had some issues with it in the past, so we're going to try and tweak how we do it, so this way it's successful for the town.
I think it's a great idea, and I love to see the kids. We used to skate all the time. I think what you could do is prep the area out, like, I'd use lowlands just for a site, just to have the public work build a berm all the way around, and then get plastic for the bottom of it, make it large enough where they can skate, for a lot of people, and then put the plastic in, and then fill it with water, and then hope for the best that it freezes. And then if the fire chief comes down and just takes a look, it's kind of like every day they come down and they tie up a hydrant and they spray it, just to make it nice and smooth, and then it's gonna be cold, of course it builds up the layers, and so, that's how we did it last time we did this. And, just hope for the best, we get some cold weather so it stays. And I think it's a great idea, because number one, it keeps the kids off the ponds. And, I'm definitely afraid the kids go on these ponds, like behind Kelly Greens or down by the 7th and 8th hole, those are, some of them are deep. If they fall through, it's gonna be, it's not tough, so, but kids are kids, we used to, go down there and they fall in.
So we're still discussing locations we're still talking costs. Again, it would be completely privately fundraised, because the town, unfortunately, we're just not in a position to.
Well, we never planned for it. I mean, we could plan it in the next budget, have an article for the warrant, but I mean, it's just, because I think it's a great idea, and I think especially for the kids, it's great for the kids to get out there and skate. And the parents of these, the children too. I think, and artificial ice doesn't seem to do it, but I mean, once they build that berm and then they put the plastic in, and then you have the fire department, other public works, they can open the hydrant and flood it, and then hopefully get some good cold weather and let it, and you gotta get the plastic down, because the water down lowlands, and that's the area to do it, because you've got the parking down there, you know what I mean? Water won't go seeping through the ground,
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, maybe you get everything set up ahead of time, make the plans, and keep your eye on the weather. And when there's when you're 5 days out and it looks like a cold weekend's coming up, say, okay, this is our festival weekend.
Yeah.
Get the hot chocolate out and,
Well, you could build, chairs and have it nice for the kids, a little fire,
Yeah.
barrels, and they can warm, I mean, and serve hot chocolate. You say you like the hot chocolate.
I like the hot chocolate.
Well, we probably have some of these young 5th to 6th graders set up a hot chocolate stand, 10 cents a cup, something like, or 20 cents a cup, they can make money, and I know we would do it,
I would give it free.
Yeah. I'm not gonna do it. Okay, I think it's a great idea. I think it's, I know we built the berm, we put the plastic down years ago, and we just kept losing it. I mean,
Yeah, it's not gonna last forever. But,
no, you gotta have 2 weeks of
a couple of days or a week, 2 weeks.
and then have the fire department come out and spray it, because they build up the layers, and of course, they make it nice and smooth too, But anyways, we can set it up. I mean, do you want to vote on that, to get it all set up? or-
No, I don't want to, we're in the early stages of it right now.
Well, you gotta, the window here is 12 to 16 weeks, and it's probably down to 12 weeks, which is January, February, and March, those 12 weeks. And if you start building it now and get it prepared, you might,
Well, we might have, with the private fundraising that's already taken place, we may be able to hire a company that would come out, build it, and then remove it, they would do it for us. I gotta make a phone, I haven't ironed all those details out yet, so I just wanted to, the point of putting it on the agenda this, tonight was to let the folks in Nahant know that we hear that people are interested in it, we're looking into it, we agree it would be great to have, we gotta do it the right way, but, stay tuned for now.
well, I think it's good the Board of Selectmen and Town Administrator are listening to the people. We're here for the people all the time. And it's for the people that we serve. I want you to realize that, too, that when I leave, you'll be alone.
I'll still be listening to the people. All right.
Even you. No. Okay. What else, Tony?
So, we have some good news here about a MVP grant, which you're probably in a better position to.
So, this is the second time that the town of Nahant has applied for an action grant under the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program, and we are happy to announce that we did receive the grant this time around. This grant is for $35,565, and the scope of work is design and pre-permitting of resilient access points at Short Beach. So the idea here, through the MVP program, was to identify, we got a planning grant a year or so ago, which allowed us to then hire a consultant and help us develop a plan that identified the most vulnerable locations in town, and then after that, you're able to apply for action grants to try to, take on some of those vulnerable areas. And this round, we decided to take a look at, the dune at Short Beach. So right now we have, our access points are lower than the height of the dune.
Access points, you mean pedestrian pathways?
Pedestrian pathways into the, down to the beach. So what this would do is design new paths down to the beach that would be at the same height as the existing dune, if not a little higher, with ADA, at least one path with ADA compliant, and what that would do is strengthen the resiliency of the entire dune and limit water coming through those pathways. So I just really want to congratulate the MVP committee. They spent a ton of time in a very short window putting together this long, difficult application. Took a lot of time and a lot of work, and we wouldn't have received it if it wasn't for them. They truly deserve all the credit, and I just want to thank them for putting, volunteering their time and putting this grant together, because this is, once this is completed, we can then apply for funds to build. So it brings us to a shovel-ready position, and it's significant. So.
So, yeah, thanks to the committee that worked on that grant application, as anybody that's been down on Short Beach during one of those big storms, that's where the bulk of the water comes, right? And especially, that walkway at the end of Spring Road is just pouring in there, so, it's great to get the money, but this is, I think it will have a substantial benefit to those neighborhoods that really take the brunt of the storms. So looking forward to getting the permits in place and hopefully getting the work done.
Yeah, that will prevent the flooding
Yeah.
in that area. There's water from the sidewalk paths coming up there, floods lowlands.
Yeah.
That's good news.
We also, unfortunately, had a cyber breach of some sort this past week. Many folks in town received an email that looked like it came from a town employee. And we got a lot of calls after that, trying to, I gotta commend our staff for immediately reaching out to our IT department or contractor as soon as it was known that this had gone out. HIQ, our contractor, then did immediately got into action, changed passwords, did a sweep for any viruses or negative effects to the town's network, discovered that there wasn't any, and then helped us work on getting the information out to people that, warning them not to click on any of the links or attachments that came with that spam email that looked like our account. So again, as we posted on our Facebook and in the email we sent out, if you were ever to receive an email from what looked like a town employee and it doesn't have the @nahant.org or nahantfire.org, then, and it looks any bit suspicious, ignore it, call the town hall, don't be careful about what you click on. But on the plus side there, this past fiscal year, the town, for the first time in a while, I think, invested in a lot of systems and softwares and security in our network. So had there been any attempt to inject some type of virus in our system, we were protected. So
That's good news.
Yeah, so our system and our information and our documents are all secure, and wanted to make that report. Lastly, we were notified by the Community Preservation Coalition that the Massachusetts legislature passed a surplus spending bill, surplus budget, that added $20 million to the Community Preservation Trust Fund. So that is going to increase statewide, any community that's involved in the community preservation, that's going to increase the match. So we may actually see additional funds from the state from this past fiscal year that we've already received. So that's good news. There'll be more money coming into the town for CPA, community preservation efforts.
That's great news, because it's gone, the match has gone down a little bit in recent years. It's still a great deal, but it's good to hear that it might go back up a little bit again.
Yeah, there was $25 million in the fund to be spread amongst all communities that had the CPA. They just added another 20 million. So that's gonna significantly increase that match. So. That's,
We need to explain that this 3% surcharge that's on the tax rate and tax dollars, we need preservation, the Preservation Trust people explain where they're gonna plan on spending that money for the forthcoming year. I mean, we're gonna, that extra 3% on the tax rate is quite a bit of money, you know, and people have asked me, how much do they need? How long will this be on there, at 3%? Will it continue? And, you know, where are they spending this money? So we've got to get an idea, you know, to explain it before, you know.
well,
Because they're asking, why don't we take the 3% off? Okay, and which is a legitimate question, you know, especially for the seniors, that 3%, you know, on the tax rate. So we need a plan, maybe.
I mean, maybe an information session would be good, because as I understand it, you know, our taxpayer contribution is 3%, but it's matched by whatever the state match is, so right, and if it's 50%, it's like getting 50% interest on your bank account. It's a pretty good deal.
When we started this whole thing, it was 100%.
Yeah.
And then it went down to, I think it was 80, and then down to 60, now it's at, I believe it below 50 now. It's, I think it's around 40%.
Yeah, so we'll see what it is this year.
35, I don't know what it is, but if it gets any lower, it might not be, you know what I mean?
But each of the projects are individually voted on at town meeting,
I
right?
absolutely agree,
Yeah.
and there's in the finance committee booklet that you get for town meeting in the back, the community preservation committee puts a detailed report in there of all the money that's been spent on what type of projects, what the status is there, so it's hopefully it's heading in the right direction anyways. With this additional money being added by the state, the match should increase. And then, just to be clear, the 3% is 3% of your tax bill, not 3% of your
Total.
value of your home.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
well, it's 3% of your taxes, but I mean.
3% of your tax bill, yep.
But the townspeople, you know, they want to know, you know, they're trying to cut every, you know.
Yeah, no, I know, I mean, you know, it is a big burden. I think some kind of educational session would be valuable, because a lot of people really don't understand it.
Well, I think a hearing, when they get the articles all in,
Yeah.
and, you know, like a practice run of a town meeting, prior to the actual town meeting.
Yeah.
We could have it as a public session, and then go through each one and explain each one, and the 3% can be put in, you know, in that whole area. You know?
So I will say, the Community Preservation Committee has hosted 2 informational sessions already this month.
Right.
And if you take a look at the website or the postings, I believe their next meeting is later it's sometime, they have another meeting later this month, so.
Something happens on the 23rd. Is that when the applications are due, maybe?
Or at least, I think the applications are
Yeah,
launched.
but a lot of people, especially the elderly, sometimes they don't have a computer, number one. Number two, it's very cold to get them up here during January and February. You know, March would be maybe, you know, it's an iffy month prior to the town meeting. I mean, it's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's when you gotta, you know, you gotta think about who's coming and when they're coming in. It's usually the elderly and the voters, you know, senior citizens voting on this stuff, you know? They're faithful to come to the town meeting.
Right, yeah. Yep.
Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
So I have,
That's all I have.
and our next meeting is gonna be the 30th, correct? Mm-hmm. And,
It's not looking good for Citizens Forum.
no, no one, of course, it's cold. Which is good. Okay, anything else, Tony, nothing? Josh, you have anything?
No?
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Motion's been made to adjourn, I will second that motion. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you very much for listening and tuning in.